Welcome to Game Changers Live from Miami, Florida. My name is Sergio Tigera. I'm your host. And each and every week, we bring you someone who has been a game changer in their field and who's touched the lives of thousands to get their perspective on their journey, their mindset, their struggles and successes so that we can inspire you on your journey. So let's get started right now. Welcome to Game Changers Live. This is Sergio Tigera coming to you live from Miami, Florida. Wherever you may be and wherever you may be listening from, you can catch us every Tuesday on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or any other platform that you listen to your shows. And this is a live show, really live show. So if you have any comments for my guests, any questions, feel free to put them in the comment box, either on Facebook or wherever you may be watching from. We'll be happy to answer them. So I have a very special guest on with me today on Game Changers. It's Mr. David Mesas. Welcome, David.
Hey, Sergio. Thanks for having me on today. Appreciate it. Of
course. So David Mesas is the Vice President of Sales for Claritas. He advises and consults Fortune 1000 companies, executives, and leaders in the areas of marketing intelligence, customer segmentation, and the power of leveraging data and technology to drive business growth for his clients. Some of his clients include Advanced Auto Parts, AT&T, Comcast, you name it, just some of the few industry-leading companies who have achieved success as a result of working with David and his team. And now he leads the Multicultural Sales team and works with clients across various industries, either automotive, advertising, retail, telecom, media, etc. He has his hands in everything. So David is a local Miami, Florida, born and raised guy. He went to Florida International University, where he got his degree in MIS, Management Information Systems. But more importantly, I think, and a big game-changing reason why I have him here on the show today is that he's also a life coach who's passionate about personal and professional development, helping others succeed and reach their goals while realizing their true potential. And in 2016, David developed Passionspire Mastermind Group. And if you don't know what a mastermind group is, we're going to be talking about it. So get ready for this. This is going to be fantastic. But it's a group that is comprised of local business executives, entrepreneurs, and leaders really focused in on personal and professional success. And moreover, he's a voracious reader. And I mean voracious reader. If you think you read a lot of books in a year, you're wrong. This guy does more than anybody. And so, and he's also training for a long distance ultra marathon, basically his first ultra marathon we've been preparing for so many months and years. So welcome, David.
Thank you, Sergio. Appreciate the introduction. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So David is a game changer in my life. And I'll tell you why before we get started here. So David was actually the first guest on Game Changers when there was probably one fan, which was me watching it.
And me.
And him. So let's count it two fans total watching it. So I brought him back on. This is our 20th episode in several months. So I'm really happy and proud about that. Made a lot of progress. But David's been a game changer in my life with the mastermind group that he invited me to. Actually, it was another good friend of ours, Danny Rojas, who invited me to be part of that group. And I just show up one night and it just changed my life. Each and every month, we get together and go through a lot of discussion topics. So, David, let's get started with that. Tell me about the Mastermind Group. What is it, and how did that get started? And why is it such a special part of your life?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Mastermind Group, for those that don't know, I got the idea from one of the books that I read, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's written during the last Depression. And in that book, he comes up with he coins a term, mastermind group, and he's really talking about folks like Harvey Firestone, specifically Andrew Carnegie, and folks in those top industries that would get together and really share ideas, thoughts, learnings, failures, and really helped sharpen each other, diamond sharpen diamonds. And the reason I brought it up to being back in 2016, I mean, I've been reading a lot of these books, been applying a lot of these concepts into my life hacks, whatever you want to call them, to really improving myself personally and professionally. And always found that I wanted to find that connection to share that with my friends. And I found that every time we would meet, we'd talk about different things, but never really got into that deep stuff terms of, looking at your losses, last time you failed or you cried about something, or you looked at a business idea and you doubted yourself and didn't go after it. Those kinds of things that folks didn't really talk about, but I was exploring in these books and in my own life. And so I said, hey, to put this to good use, let me kind of trick my friends into coming to a meeting in my house where I would kind of host them and share a lot of these ideas to really help each other grow. And the whole concept of our group, I mean, there's masterminds of all kinds. There's masterminds for real estate, wealth, business. Our group, although we have entrepreneurs, business executives, and whatnot, we're really getting together to develop personally and professionally. And when you get together under that same idea, under the same passion, under the same objectives, what you really introduce, according to Napoleon Hill, is this third mastermind where 1 + 1 = 2, or 1 + 1 = 4, 3 or 4 in many cases, where you're able to shorten learning curves by learning from other people's experience and getting the perspective from other individuals that perhaps just have a completely different viewpoint and see something that you may be struggling with as a weakness, or you may see as a perceived obstacle. They may just have a completely different angle where they can help guide you. So it's been very valuable in my life as well. Although I started it sort of to help my friends and my colleagues, it's really morphed into something where we're all really growing since we first began it.
At times, people are very fearful, and we doubt ourselves, right? We doubt ourselves for a lot of things. Some of our goals that we have, we doubt ourselves whether we're good enough. We doubt our confidence. We doubt and we doubt and we doubt. And we go into these meetings is really important because it, like you said, it gives, you put it out there and it's almost like a support group. They're not going to lie to you, right? If you're, if you're BSing, they're going to call you out on it, right? But the point is that a lot of times we stop going after the things we want to go after because of a lack of confidence or a lack of belief. And all it takes is one person saying, hey, you got this. Let's go, get on it. And to really give you that boost, right?
Yes, and you need a platform. You need a platform to discuss ideas, not just with your close friends, with people outside of your sphere of influence, and people that really don't have a dog in the fight, but are going to give you perspective that want to see you improve. We all in this group honestly want to see ourselves improve, want to see ourselves achieve success. We see ourselves through our mastermind friends' successes as well, and that perspective is something that we need, and that kind of accountability of having others push you is critical. As you get older and you get boggled down with a lot of other goals and family and things like that, you need that kind of group to keep you focused on the different objectives you're trying to reach, and learning from other folks that just have a different field, a different life path.
And I think you stated something really important there, is that number one, they don't have a dog in the fight. They're just there because they want you to succeed as a person, as an individual, and going in there with the right mentality, the right intentions is really important. I mean, that's what makes the magic of the group. And of course, the moderator, right? Like you, like yourself, setting it up. And anybody can do this, guys. If you're out there and you have a group of friends with a common goal, get together and formalize it. And now you can't, I wouldn't advise just inviting anybody, right? Because I have another group of friends that we mess around. We've known them forever, known them a lot longer than you have, but have had less of an impact in terms of professional and personal development. So you got to be really careful in terms of curating your people, right? That you get in there.
Agree. And you got to keep it, small. And the group makes it. When I said 1 + 1 = 3 or 4, the group is really, the components make it. How you show up, the people you bring in. But one key thing that we talked about in our initial conversation and we hit on often is the power of vulnerability. The power to be in a group where you can talk, because it's great. It's easy to be in a group where you can talk about successes. Hey, I started this business. Hey, I do this, that, all the great stuff. It's easy to talk about the great stuff. I just ran a marathon. I did this. Yes, that's exciting. But the real learnings is in those losses, having other people, being able to feel comfortable in a situation, in an environment where you can share and say, just give it to me. What do I need to learn here? Yeah. And that maturity, in this case, we're mostly men, we're men in this group, so the maturity of men and being able to learn from these situations, whether it's family or professionally, and having other individuals give you that perspective, and that power of being vulnerable in the group in the context of the confidentiality of this group has allowed folks to really unlock the learnings in what previously may have been deemed a loss and something you just ruminate on. We're finding that we can bounce back and learn from these losses more quickly.
And guys are not supposed to be vulnerable, right? We're not supposed to be vulnerable. We're not supposed to kind of let our guard down, because growing up, at least in our era, you'd get ragged on, you get put down. Oh, you're being a sissy, whatever, right? And so, but it's incredibly important, because where can you be vulnerable? Because a lot of times we can't even be vulnerable with our own spouses, because they're expecting us to be, the leader or, the breadwinner, whatever that is, and you can't show any cracks in the foundation, so to speak, right? And so I think a lot of guys could relate to that, and I've noticed that within the group, it's almost like a pressure release valve that you can go there and say, man, I'm not feeling good about this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's good to just get it off your chest, because if we don't talk about it and we just kind of keep it inside, that's not healthy either.
Agree. That's right on point. And you mentioned another, in terms of releasing, that's a critical point in terms of talking about it and dealing with it. But one item you mentioned is the spouse, and this group has allowed us to become also better husbands.
Right.
And in terms of showing up, like maybe before we had a little bit more cautiousness and being vulnerable, but now dealing with these conversations with these gentlemen, getting clarity, getting perspective on how they deal with it too, has allowed us to also have these conversations with our wives. And I've had them, you have them, we've all had different conversations that have allowed us to deal with things in our relationship that have fortified and made them stronger. And our wives see it. So they're like, hey, you guys go meet once a month. Happy to go, because they know that we come back refreshed, recharged, reinvigorated, and better people in every aspect of our lives that we show up.
Now, one of the things you mentioned before about accountability, as adults, we don't always, we can't hold ourselves accountable a lot of times. I mean, look, New Year's is coming up. I'm sure that everyone listening is going to have a goal of losing 15 to 20 pounds. And 2 weeks in, we're going to have stopped going to the gym. We're going to fall back to our old ways. We're not going to be accountable. But when you have an accountability partner, such as you are to me and I am to you, we hold each other, accountable, right? If you're slacking off, I'm going to hold you accountable, and vice versa. Having a person in your life to do that is very, very important. Tell me more about that.
I mean, you need someone. You don't need it. Obviously, there's some people that can just get up and go, and we all have that in us. We can all have these streaks of I can get up and go and do it, and I don't need anyone's help. Streaks. But there's, again, the 1 + 1 = 3. My math is wrong, and it's not FIU's problem. I'm really being true about 1 + 1 is 3, because you're really taking the power of two people and committing in one day. For example, where you may call me and say, hey, Mesas, we're going to go run 4 miles tomorrow morning. And I wake up tired, whatever it might be. You text me and you're like, we're going. And then there's days when you don't feel like hitting the gym, and I'm pushing you. And it's, it's not that you're both going to be strong. You're both going to be strong in different areas, and you push each other. And some days you just both show up at the same time, and you're both pumping each other, and you take it to another level. And it's not that you need it. It's about taking your game to the next level, both personally, professionally, and it doesn't have to be the bestest of friends. It's someone that you respect. It can't just be someone, hey, let's go to the gym. It's someone that you respect that's going to push you, not just push you, but give it as hard as you give it. That's not going to be slacking and just relying on your willpower to take them every day.
That's right.
It's someone that you kind of either look at or look up to, or you're kind of pushing each other. He's a better swimmer, you're a better runner, whatever it is, and you're kind of like pushing each other. That's what you need to look for. And it's not your best friend to go chit chat at the gym. And if it happens to be that your best friend is where you're trying to be and how you're trying to be and how you're trying to push yourself and how you're trying to show up, then even better. But it doesn't have to be about that. It's really about looking at people that can take you there. And I have a couple of other people for different areas of accountability, and we feed off of each other, and you need that. And I've taken it to the next level. I was one that used to just go running by myself, very solo. I'm meditating. And now the power of going on a run with a conversation, you know, having business or whatever kind of conversations in it, you just come back so refreshed. And hey, I just ran 4 miles. You didn't even realize.
That's right.
And you happen to have solved some other like world problem, you know, in conversation.
Or come up with a new business idea. There's a mind-body connection that is real.
There is.
Tremendously real, especially when you're doing exercise, you're moving forward. It reduces stress, reduces anxiety, reduces, you know, depression. And if you're with somebody, I was talking to Frankie Ruiz, he was on here,
Yes.
you know, world-class runner, right? All, you know, marathoner. And one of the things he says that what he loves to do, you know, if you want him to say yes to something, invite him on a run, because he loves to run with other people and have that conversation and connect with people and get out in the community. There's nothing better than that. So, you know, switching gears on books. So last year I was, you know, as an accountability partner with David, I'm like, hey, listen, there's 52 weeks in a year. Let's put a goal out there to read 52 books in a year. So a book a week, we're going to knock it out.
Yeah.
And we started hard. And then the summer, I kind of fell off myself. I kind of fell off the wagon and slowed down. But David kept at it and at it and at it. And this year, he's just blown through that, right? I mean, how many books have you read this year?
Listen, I mean, when you came up to me, I was previously a big reader and a listener. Let me just put caution there. I listen to books too. I figured that I want to consume more books. I love the physical part of reading, but I can actually listen to books while I'm running, while I'm doing the dishes, which my wife loves. All these kinds of things that traditionally I wouldn't be doing anything else. Now, I was, even at that point, just including the audiobooks and the reading, I was doing at most, and I thought I was a superhero, 2 books a month, 24 a year.
Yeah.
You came around. When I hit 24, you're like, oh, great, double it plus, 4. You're like, do 1 a week. And I'm like, so we start off, like you said, we start off with good pace. We kind of fell off, and then I jumped back on, and I'm like, hey, we can do this. So I actually did 52 books last year, exactly. Like the last day of the year, I finished the last book. But that felt, and I did it, and I learned so much. Last year was such a growth, and I owe a lot to you. And it goes to show that someone doesn't actually have to be at the top of the mountain, the 52 book mountain, or whatever you want to call it, for you to guide someone and push someone there like you did as an executive coach to me to go after that goal, which I thought was impossible. And it's just kudos to the work you do with me and others to be able to believe in us when we thought it was just ridiculous. Now, at that point, it was a goal. Now, this year, I'm like, I'll do 52. It's a way of life now. Now it's not like this is 52. I have to train for 52. It's now I'm at 63 and we still have 5 weeks left.
Wow.
And I'm going to probably get to the 70s if in fact I get there, but I'm not pushing it. I'm just flowing with it. But I've learned so much about the body, about history, psychology. I'm learning so much about a lot of things that, imagine I was doing 12 to 24 books before. I'm doing X amount more than that in 1 year because of you. And in the last 2 years, over 100 books of leading authors, like really cool books that I would have got into at some point down the line. Mm-hmm. And because of you, I'm there now.
And it's almost like you're worried about, okay, do I have enough books to read? Because I'm going through them so fast that
yes,
you might read good books to read. And it's funny, if you follow David on LinkedIn, just about every week he's posting a new book. And so these aren't recommendations. These are books that he's going through. And using Audible, here's the little trick with it. I'm like David, to sit down and actually read a book is very difficult for me. I'm a great listener, so I can consume it, through audio. On Audible, you could set the speed to 1.25 or 1.5 times and get through it, in half the time that you would normally listening to it. And you train yourself to listen to it, at that speed, and you absorb. So it's amazing, man. Kudos to you for having read so many books this year. It's a hell of an achievement.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So we're on with David Mesas, Vice President, Claritas, and motivational speaker. We haven't even gotten to that. But hey, let's talk a little bit about your role at Claritas and the impact you're making with all these companies, especially today. If you're an entrepreneur, you need to learn how to use data properly and target your audience properly. Mm-hmm. If not, we're going to be throwing our money out the window, right? In Facebook ads that we don't know if it's going to work. What are some of these strategies that some of these large companies are using, but smaller entrepreneurs, solopreneurs could use to really propel their business forward in 2021?
Look, as much as we advance technologically, we always go back to the basic. The basic is know your customer. You know, as much as you can advance with data and all the technology and ways to reach customers, the first step we always tell the biggest of customers to a startup is know your customer, know who your best customers are, which is really how we go to market. And data enables that. Data enables you to understand the profile of your best customers, whether it's a consumer or a business, or understand the profile of the areas where you serve, where you have a bank branch or a restaurant. Really understanding the retail dynamics, or understanding your first party data, your own customer data, to see how many affluent, or how many folks with kids that live within a certain distance of a Target or a Walmart. Those types of questions we answer. And then ultimately, once you have that answered, we can help you. And what other customers will do is connect, is deliver a message to those best customers. And the last step is really optimizing or understanding how it went. So who are we reaching? Let's go after lookalikes, and then let's measure and see how effective that was in moving the needle in driving sales. And it's a circle that kind of feeds itself with additional data and intelligence.
So it takes some discipline, right? Because you got to first identify exactly who your customer is, and if you don't know, you got to start testing things out and seeing what really sticks with what people, and identifying that. And then checking out how it went afterwards. What are some tools that people can use to help identify who their customer is? How could you find out if you're a small customer, you're a small business?
I mean, we have some tools on our website, on the Claritas.com website. There's resources. You can even go to a website that we have called My Best Segments, where you can type in your zip code and actually understand the profile of that zip code. You can actually put in your own zip code and kind of see what we know about that area. There's other more basic tools for someone that's probably startup and not at the level to work with us, and can go online and do research in the census and some of the public information that's available for businesses to really understand the potential. But ultimately, in order to really activate, they're going to have to invest some money, either doing it themselves, going onto Facebook and social media, or display and doing these things. Now, the market has enabled a lot of the smaller businesses to go in with a lot of different smaller tools that can allow them to activate on their own. But having a good data provider, a good marketing intelligence company that has the right data elements, because more data is not necessarily better. It's the insights, the actionability of the data that makes sense. But there's certainly a lot of tools that can be made available.
Awesome. Hey, so David, as we wrap this up, so the name of the show is called Gamechangers. So the question is to you, has there been a moment or an event in your past that was a game changer in your life? Was it someone, something that somebody said, an epiphany that you had, a moment in your life where things just took off for you, and you saw things that you didn't see in the past?
So, I wish I had some great business, game-changing business deal I did that, and I've had a lot of those, but my game-changing event happened way before all that. It was more from a personal development standpoint. I was already started in my career that I'm still in now at another level. But what the game-changing event for me was, I was overweight, really not taking care of myself, really disappointed with the way I had let myself go, mentally, physically, and read a couple of books, a number of them that really started to hit home. One was The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, and a few others by Dr. Wayne Dyer, that really helped me start to see the power of my thoughts, of my idea, the power of my mind to control what happens around me, and not let the environment control me. And sooner or later, I started to set up goals, and I started to run. I started to see that, that was something that was challenging to me. And that challenge, since I was, an athlete in high school, I figured, this is really, it was upsetting me that I couldn't run a mile without hesitating. So I committed to running 2, then 3, then 4. And eventually I committed to doing a half marathon in 2009. And I think that was really the turning point, running that half marathon. I grew up with asthma, wasn't ever thought about running unless someone was chasing me. You know, it was kind of, running is looked at as a punishment. You know, when you're in school, hey, go run. You did something wrong. Yeah. And to run 13.1 miles without stopping was really a turning point for me, and showed me that my mind can overpower my body and can control anything. I can achieve anything I want if I just put my mind to it. And I've been using that same mindset, that same ability. So like you were talking about, just going from 24 to 52 books to now committing to running an ultra marathon, which I thought was ridiculous. Anything, you know, I was thinking about running 31 to 40 miles, and I'm training for that. And it's all because of that game-changing moment where I realized that if I got my mind right and I controlled my intentions, the power of my intentions and my thoughts, I can really achieve anything in my life.
Awesome. Brother, it was great having you on the show, my friend. Like, a pleasure like always. First guest on Game Changers ever. So I brought him back on here on the 20th show, and we'll probably bring him on again at the 100th show.
Thank you.
And see how you're doing. So you can find him on social media. Just look up David Mesas. Where else can you find you on Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram, on Passionspire, and on Facebook, but primarily also on LinkedIn. If you look me up, David Mesas, would love to connect with you on my network. And do Sergio a favor and subscribe down below on YouTube.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, definitely subscribe on Game Changers. My intention with this show is to highlight other people's journeys, their successes, their wins, their losses, what they've been through, to inspire you on your journey. And so the more you can share this with your friends and family, I would really appreciate it. Subscribe, like, share with somebody who needs to hear this message. So thank you, my brother, for being on.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Finish strong.
If you loved what you heard in today's episode of Game Changers, please subscribe and rate us. The lessons and the stories in these podcasts are immensely valuable, so I invite you to share them with a friend who needs to hear it. You may end up being the game changer in their lives.